Am I the asshole for inviting my boyfriend to a game night? I'll try to keep it short, but I'm still getting crap for this from my family, so I figured to share it here and get some opinions. Basically, my church was having a game night and we were told that we could bring some friends. I asked my parents to invite the people from my friends group chat, and they said if the leaders at church agreed then it was no problem. We have a big group chat with my boyfriend and all our friends. So I texted the group chat and asked if anyone wanted to come with me and explained that it was chill game night. A few had plans and others said maybe but not for sure. My boyfriend and one other person said they were free to go. The day of came and my boyfriend showed up, but the other person cancelled due to a family emergency. No one else could go. Everything was good and I introduced him to everyone and the leaders as a friend because I like to keep my life private. My boyfriend is very understanding of that. We kept it cool and didn't even hold hands or go off somewhere by ourselves. We were just behaving as friends. We all had a great time. At the end of the night, I called my parents and they couldn't pick me up due to them working night shift, so they asked me to find someone who would be able to take me home or if absolutely necessary call my aunt who just came back from work that was almost 2 hours away to pick me up. I asked around if anyone was able to take me home and everyone either had a full car or was going the opposite way. My boyfriend offered to drive me because he was heading in the same direction and I said okay. He dropped me off and I said thank you and I called my parents to let them know that I found a ride and we moved on with our life. A couple days later during service, my dad asked one of my leaders at church who drove me home so he could say thank you, and they told them that a friend I had brought with was nice enough to drive me when they all couldn't, their exact words. My parents got really mad that a person of the opposite gender drove me home and I didn't tell them. I didn't because I didn't think it was a big deal. I don't under why it was such a big deal anyways. I'm not the only one who literally gets rides from people of the opposite gender. Most of the people there have BFS, GFS, and they come together all the time. We literally drove straight home and he knew where I lived because he came over a few times before. They said I embarrassed them by doing that and I was completely in the wrong and forced me apologize. My mom cried for a few days saying that she doesn't know who I am because I'm not the daughter she raised. I don't think I did anything wrong in this situation, but it's been a few months and it's still being brought up by literally my parents, cousins, and aunt, so now I'm not too sure. Edit. I'm 18 and BF is 19 about to be 20. Also, my parents have met him and he's been over to our house a few times. Edit 2. I'm a woman. Not the asshole, your family is out of their minds. If they actually were good parents, they would have trusted that they raised you well enough to do the right thing by their standards. It's their own fault for dropping you off somewhere knowing they'd be working the night shift and couldn't pick you up. Counting on some random good person to drive you home was completely irresponsible. Not the asshole, your mother sounds like she needs some help if she reacted as described. OMG. You were alone with a boy, in a car, without a chaperone? What would people think? Actually, the only ones making this a 19th century drama are your parents. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. I'm wondering what your mom's preferred option would have been? For you to be stranded there? For you to attempt to walk home alone? Not the asshole. It seems as though they are worried about your incoming sexuality, and well, most religious people and groups don't have much to offer kids when it comes to that time besides abstinence and no abortion, so. Not the asshole. Trust your instincts on your emotions. Your parents' conservative religious views have warped their emotions to the point that they've created this histrionic melodrama. It's only because you are in the middle of it that you doubt yourself. If you had some distance you'd see it clearly as the insanity that it is. Ride it out. Protect your true self. Someday be free. NTA. God has the worst fan base. Not the asshole. Your parents sound super controlling if they are obsessed over you getting a ride from a nice gentleman who happens to be someone they already know. Have you considered moving out? Not the asshole, cults are weird. You have to understand that sitting in an unventilated car with a boy can get you pregnant. WTF is this shit? Your family is over the top about nothing, and your denomination is too if it in any way justifies how your family is reacting. Not the asshole. Not the asshole, and you're not in a church, you're in a cult. Get away if you can. Not the asshole. Your parents would rather you get a ride from a random person or have your aunt drive 2 hours to get you instead of your boyfriend, who they've met, who could easily do it. Because that's insane. They way overreacted. Crying for days? You're not the daughter they thought they raised? It's almost comical how overdramatic that reaction is. Maybe it's a good thing you're not that daughter, but instead one who has common sense to get herself home safely with someone she trusts. The one they want sounds painfully naive and sheltered. I see you're 18, so here's hoping you can escape that crazy environment soon enough and be free to make your own, totally normal, choices. Info. How old are you and do your parents know your BF? Not the asshole. It sounds like you and your boyfriend were very respectful and the entire night was just a normal night. It's not your fault that no one else could give you a ride home, nor is it your parents' fault either. That's just the way the dice fell. This post sounds like it was written in the 1950s in the Deep South. Info. How old are you? Not the asshole. No offense, but your parents have some issues. This isn't like you're hitchhiking with a stranger, it was someone you knew, and assuming that riding with a guy was dangerous, for you was insulting to you and guys in general. I'm sorry you had to apologize because you shouldn't have had to, and just a heads up for what's to come if you decide to move out with him without getting married. I can already tell it's gonna be a bitch. Not the asshole. It seems more like your parents are more concerned with what other church members may think, or if it appeared that game night turned into date night while they were absent. Maybe your mom is projecting because she would judge another person in that same scenario and she just assumes everyone else thinks the same? Who knows? You didn't do anything wrong, and I'm sorry you're being treated unfairly. Not the asshole. You could have had sex with him and you still wouldn't be the asshole. You're an adult. Don't let some cult control you. Not the asshole. Your parents, however, prove to be highly unreasonable. You ask them to pick you up and they refuse, leaving their child alone in some random place. What if no one could have taken you? Did they ever hear about kidnapping and the worst kind of things that can happen to people alone, probably in the dark? Especially young women, as I understood? They should thank your boyfriend for making sure you got home safely. Unbelievable. Blaming their child for not staying alone in the dark after neglecting their own responsibility as parents. Your parents are some douchebags. Sorry, op. Not the asshole. Your parents overreacted. Your mother's right. You're not the daughter your mother raised. You're so much better. The last thing this world needs is more people with a bullshit purity-obsessed mindset. Even if you did have sex that night, which you didn't, both of you are over 18, so it's fine as long as you're smart about it. And there's nothing wrong with hitching a ride with someone of the opposite sex, especially when he was the only option. Or were they really okay with you waiting 2 hours by yourself for your aunt, and your aunt taking 4 hours of her time to get you home, when it's already nighttime? Your mom cried for days? Laughing my ass off. I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh, but it's kinda hilarious. I'd hate to see her react when a real tragedy happens. Not the asshole at all, by the way, but you knew that. You aren't the asshole at all. Your parents are total posses. The fact that they feel embarrassed because you drove home with someone of the opposite gender is just pathetic. It's your life, not theirs, and if they treat you like that, you just shouldn't go to the game night. Your parents sound like overly religious a-holes. They don't control your life, you do. If I were you, I'd leave as soon as I turn 18, and date whatever guy or girl I want. I don't mean to sound too rude to your parents, but they are totally in the wrong. Have you never seen riding in cars with boys? Just playing not the asshole. Your parents are super religious, it sounds like. That's a massive overreaction on your family's part. If my daughter's in that situation, I'm more than happy for her other half to drop her off. At least that way I know she's safe rather than walking home on her own. There seems to be some story missing. Not the asshole. Wow. What country and or century is this from? Not the asshole. Info. How old are you? Not the asshole. You are an adult. You may still be living at home, and I understand a parent saying to a kid who lives full-time at home, your significant other can't spend the night in your room or be alone in your room with you, to a point, especially if you have younger siblings, but being upset that someone of the opposite gender drove you home is wackadoodle. My in-laws continued to insist that my now husband and I slept in separate rooms before we got married, even though we had moved in together. Even after we bought a house together. It was baffling. Like, honey, do you think we aren't sharing a bed when we're in our home together? It's not like many people want to bang when their parents might be listening. Not the asshole and info. Does your town exist in the 1870s? Your parents are typical Christians. They don't even care if you did have sex with your ride. They're just mad because people saw you in the car with him. They are insane and should be treated as such. I hope you're planning to move out pretty soon since you are an adult now. Fuck church. Get out of shit immediately. Not the asshole, but stories like these are exactly why kids leave home as quickly as they can and never come back. Not the asshole. Your family is insane. Not the asshole. Tell your mom even the Amish males are allowed to drive home Amish females from church events. You are more oppressed as a grown 18-year-old woman than the Amish. Do with that what you will. Not the asshole. I'm guessing this is some weird cultural thing? You didn't do anything wrong. Your parents will attempt this crap for a while until they realize they can't control your actions. Not the asshole. Your parents are making a mountain out of a molehill. They know he's your boyfriend, right? It's perfectly normal for your boyfriend to drive you home. You're an adult. I would tell them it's done and dusted and you don't care to discuss it anymore. Quite frankly, it's no one's business but yours. 2 things here. 1. You're 18. In most countries that means you're a legal adult too. Your parents clearly participate in strict religious principles many would call a cult. What you did is beyond normal and fine. Depending on your situation, it's time to set boundaries with them. Not the asshole. And after reading some of your comments, it seems like you're pretty relieved to hear that. If it were me, I would start getting petty at the comments though. Or maybe play dumb until they give up. I didn't raise you to be this way. But I did what you said and got a ride, but with a man. What's the difference? Something about sex. Why would I have sex in a car? Or, I didn't raise you this way. You quite literally did. Or, I didn't raise you this way. Okay, I'm so disappointed. Okay, how could you? Okay, at this point, if they're still bugging you about it months later, just have fun with it. Bullies don't like when they can't bully anymore. Not the asshole. Your parents are the type of parents whose kids go absolutely wild in college. Not the asshole. Are you Mormon or something? This seems pretty extreme. Not the asshole. That's some toxic purity culture stuff right there. You are 18. They don't need to know every detail of your life. Jesus Christ, that's insane. I'd live to have a life where that was my biggest problem. People are dying, Kim. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. This is how parents have kids that go no contact. Run from your parents. They are bad for you. Not the asshole. This, as a Christian, is basically religious guilt tripping. Frankly, it's manipulate and toxic on your parents' part. You're 18, can make decisions on your own, and if they think that you being in the car with the opposite gender is the worst thing in the world, just wait until you go to college. You're an adult, you can define your own relationship with God. Because your parents raise you a certain way, doesn't justify this reaction. Not the asshole. When the other people at church are more chill than your own family, you know the parents are in the wrong. What in the world? Your parents' reactions are completely bizarre. Not the asshole, but you left out that you live in Saudi Arabia.